The Lexus IS 350 F Sport is finally here, and Lexus is calling this a refresh. But we know that Lexus is a pretty conservative car company, so the big question is, did Lexus really do enough? They are also saying that this signals a brand new direction for Lexus. So we're going to take a deep dive today and figure out if this refresh is really enough. And let's also take a look at what this new direction for Lexus looks like. The third generation of the IS premiered in 2013. It got a slight update in 2016, so now we get a refresh. It's the same chassis, but the sheet metal is mostly new. Let's cover the changes. The wheelbase is unchanged, but the body is about an inch wider and longer. It looks a lot more aggressive than the outgoing model, and most people I spoke with seem to think it looks really quite sharp, and I tend to agree. One of the biggest visual differences up front is that the grille is actually bigger and wider compared to the outgoing model. These little pieces are pulled back, and overall I think it just gives it a more purposeful look. One thing Lexus has retained is this sort of signature egg crate, this cross-hatching style to the grille. I think overall Toyota does a good job, Lexus does a good job with the big grilles, so does Audi, but BMW, they got their own thing going on right now. The headlights are a little bit slimmer and more compact than the outgoing model. And of course you've got this classic Lexus L LED driving lights. I like how it sort of flows into the front of the body, into the bumper, and how all these lines converge to give it a real sharp, aggressive character. This is the F Sport, and it also has the dynamic handling package. Part of that is this opening in the lower part of the grille, which flows air into the brakes, so it's actually functional. Part of the new design at the back involves these lines that come from the top of the fender, and they go all the way into the back, and they form the deck lid. It's one continuous flowing line. You have these Lexus signature taillights, these LEDs that have the classic L, and here they go all the way across the width of the entire car. The rear valance is busier than the last one. It goes up higher into the rear bumper, and it sort of gives the back end a little bit more of a creased look. This carbon fiber rear spoiler is part of the dynamic handling package, and this package really makes the car come alive. Okay, so this is a car that doesn't immediately impress, certainly not with its power. You know, if you've driven a lot of turbo cars, they've got a lot of torque down low, and this is naturally aspirated, and so it doesn't have that low end oomph. But like a good mystery novel, it tends to reveal its secrets over time, and it gets better. Let me explain. As part of the dynamic handling package, you also get these 19-inch BBS wheels. Now, these are lightweight. These apparently are 4 pounds lighter than the standard 19-inch wheels. You've also got brakes up front, which are about 13.1 inches, I believe, and some pretty beefy calipers. The brakes on this are pretty good. Lexus has a new philosophy going forward called Lexus Driving Signature. And a big part of that is really increasing the dynamic and the involvement between the vehicle and the driver. They're talking about things like more linear steering, more predictable control inputs, and basically just more interaction between the driver and the vehicle to make it more enjoyable. To me, I take that as kind of a Japanese thing. It's very subtle. It's really more about chassis tuning and dynamics and handling than it is about power. They've made some big changes to the suspension as well to improve handling. One of the big things they've done is they have changed the pickup points. So now you can get a bigger wheel and tire setup in here. It's a double wishbone suspension, and they've moved to aluminum from steel. So again, it's lighter, and also the springs are lighter too by 20%. So that is all in the effort to get rid of unsprung weight. The rear suspension is a multi-link design, and it also has brand new dampers all the way around with improved valving, and this is supposed to make the ride quality better. Let's go see how it works. So even on a poor road surface, and this one is not too bad, but when you've got a bad surface, this does a really excellent job of just soaking up the bumps. The IS strikes a really strong balance between ride quality and handling. It's one of the high points of the car. The adaptive dampers soak up all kinds of road imperfections, small and big, but when you toss it into a corner, everything kind of firms up, and it actually has much greater mechanical grip than I would have expected based on the really supple ride. It has different settings from normal, Sport S, and Sport S Plus. Only in Sport S Plus, the highest setting, does the suspension stiffen up and the steering get a little bit heavier, supposedly giving you more feel. Driving it for a week, I really couldn't tell much difference in the stiffness of the suspension. Definitely the steering was a little bit better. The 8-speed transmission is pretty good, but it's not the most modern unit. The shifting is a little bit soft. When you're in the canyons and even in Sport S Plus, it tends to hold a gear that I think is too high. It does always hold a gear to redline, which is nice, and putting it in manual mode basically just removes all of my complaints. A great driving experience is nothing without a great cabin. So let's see how many changes Lexus has really made. The cabin has been updated somewhat. Now you've got round vents. They've relocated the cup holders. The door panels have this crosshatch design, which I think is lifted a little bit from the LC. The fit and finish in here is really quite good. Now the driver's seat, very comfortable, very good bolstering, and significantly they are cooled. I wish more manufacturers did ventilated seats. Of course, they're also heated too. The passenger gets an 8-way adjustable setup and the driver gets 10-way. You've got 3 different choices for interior color. You've got traditional black, there's a tan color, and then you've got this hot red, which I really dig. I've just been handed this. Apparently this is the thing. So I was actually fooled. I thought this interior was leather. It's something called Nulux. It's a very good imitation of leather. I find it to be really comfortable. Honestly, I would take this any day. I don't have a problem with this at all. It's really nice. It's really soft. And at least to a neophyte like me, it's difficult to tell from leather. It still has the trackpad, which is actually really, really, really bad. I don't know why they continue to persist with it. Fortunately, the new screen is touch, so that allows you to sort of get around the terrible trackpad system. But come on, Lexus, I think you can do a little bit better than this. One of my favorite things about this car is the Mark Levinson Premium Surround System. It's close to $2,800, which includes the 10-inch optional touch display. But the sound quality is so good. It is really balanced. It's got great bass response. It's got really good imaging. I consider myself a little bit of an audiophile, and I've really been enjoying this. It transforms the city driving experience for me immensely. If I were to get this car, personally, I would definitely get the Mark Levinson audio system. I think it's fantastic, especially in a car at this price point. So it does have Apple CarPlay and Android Auto. You got to plug it in, of course. It's not the wireless Apple CarPlay that you get in some of the newer systems. The screen itself is very bright. It's easy to read, but the navigation system feels like a little bit last generation. The center stack is pretty much a carryover from before. I like the fact that this is all matte. Of course, this is piano black here, not my favorite. You get a lot of fingerprints on it, but it is very busy. It's not as good as a dial setup, not as easy to operate as I'd like. You've got all these little tiny buttons. It's just a little bit sort of antiquated. I wish they had replaced this. For the heating and ventilation controls, you got these sort of weird slider things over here. Again, not that intuitive. Guys, come on, just go with rotary dials and knobs. Everybody's doing it right now. If you want to see a more simple, more elegant interior design, I think Audi is doing it probably some of the best. So, of course, this is a compact luxury sports sedan, which means it's not the biggest back seat in the world, but headroom's actually okay back here, and legroom is not bad either, as long as you don't have somebody who's 6'3" sitting in front of you. Pretty comfortable, pretty basic. Again, it's got this really nice Nulux fabric, and the center stack that swings down has got a cup holder in it as well, and you've got some vents for your own heating and cooling back here, although fortunately, or rather unfortunately, they are not adjustable by the passengers. Trunk space test. Let's see how many of me we can get in here. I think it's not too bad. probably get about 2 of me in here. It's actually 10.8 cubic feet of cargo space. It's about the same, or actually it's a little bit bigger than the Supra, but not a whole lot. The Supra is 10.2, so you get an extra 0.6 cubic feet of cargo space over a Supra, but this is way more usable. There's 2 engines available in the IS. One is the 2-liter turbo. It makes about 241 horsepower. And this is the V6. It's a 3.5 liter. If you want the F Sport, that's the only engine you're gonna get. So this engine is tried and true. It's in a ton of Lexus and Toyota products. This is the same engine that you get in the V6 Camry, but significantly you get an extra 10 horsepower. And one thing this engine loves to do is rev. So this engine really does love to rev, which I like. And it's got all the power and the torque at the top of the rev band, and basically in the last 2,000 RPM or so. It makes maximum torque at 4,800, and it makes maximum power right near redline, which is about 6,800. And that makes it a lot of fun to drive. It's a real old school, kind of classic, naturally aspirated experience. If you like that, you're gonna enjoy this car. The throttle response, of course, is instantaneous. There's no turbo lag at all. So it's got a really linear throttle. And that makes it really easy to drive. So let's talk price. This starts at $42,900. The Mark Levinson audio system with a 10-inch screen, $2,750. And the thing that you absolutely must get if you like handling is the dynamic handling package for $4,200. It absolutely transforms the car. There's one thing that comes to mind with this car, and that is balance. It does everything fairly well. The controls are nicely weighted. The handling is superb. Doesn't have a lot of power, obviously, but overall the car is a really great balance between handling, performance, and comfort and city driving. And it does it really, really well, perhaps better than almost anybody else does. But this car is not without its flaws. Although I really do like the naturally aspirated V6, it sounds wonderful. It just doesn't have that much torque down low, and you've got a lot of competitors right now which are making turbo engines. These cars have maybe up to 100 horsepower more. I'm talking Audi, I'm talking BMW, I'm talking Mercedes, I'm talking Genesis. There's quite a bit of competition in the marketplace right now, and so they have done this refresh, and the styling looks fantastic, I think. There is a lot of competition out there right now. And so the big question for me still is, has Lexus really done enough? Would I use this car as a daily driver? I have to say yes, I really do like it, even though I would like a little bit more power. My name is Eric. If you want to connect with me on Instagram, ask me questions about this car or any others, go ahead and do that, and I will see you soon.